Okay, so this is the second video I've done today, and this is just for Year 10 and Year 11 parents and students, just trying to inform them about what the next steps with GCSE grading. So on the 6th of January, exams were cancelled, and it's only this week, or last week I should say, last Thursday, that we found out what was going to replace them. And I know that many students, families are incredibly anxious at the moment about what's going to happen next. So the first message, and this is the most important thing, it's still in your hands, kids. You can still change what grade you're going to get in the summer. You still have control of that. Whether you've done loads and loads of work or whether you've done very little work, you can still make a difference. You can still crack on next week with all your remote learning and come back to school and absolutely go for it and make a difference. You can still affect your grade. So that's the first important thing. You cannot stop now. For the next, 16 weeks it's going to be, it's hard work. It always will be. Whether we've got exams or not, this running is really important and it's really challenging. This is where you're tested now. We've got Ramadan in the middle of it, so we know that we've also got a challenging period there where we've got to keep through. So that's my first message. Keep going. It's going to be tough no matter what, but you can still make a difference. You can still go up. You can still get that progress, get that grade that you need to get to the destination you want to. And I think that's my second key message. Is the process that we're going to go through, which I'll explain in a minute, is all about making sure children get to the correct destination when they leave us. Now, this would be an easier process for us as a school if we had a sixth form. We don't, which means we've got to really think about where do your children and where do you guys want to go when you finish with us. And Miss Hawkin and Miss Jabal have been working relentlessly on communicating with sixth form providers, colleges, Huddersfield, Greenhead, Halifax, Crossley's, Trinity, Brooksbank, all of these, Calderdale College, all of the different providers that we've got, they've been talking to relentlessly, working with C&K Careers, making sure that we're looking at apprenticeships, all of these things to support you so you get the best advice possible. So that's really important to keep on talking, keep on turning up to those sixth form interviews. And one of the key things that they're looking for, again, is what you're doing, what you've done over this period, but especially now, what are you going to do when we get back? Because there's a real temptation if you've struggled, if you've not kept up with your remote learning, say, well, what's the point? I can't do anything. And that's really important. You can still have a real impact on your grade. So that's my first message. Now, the government have said that it's going to be a fair and equitable process. Okay? Effectively, they've transferred it all onto schools. So as a school, over the next few weeks, and what we've already been discussing is, well, we need to collect evidence. We need to make sure that we've got as much information as possible to come up with an accurate grade that reflects your work over the last, or since you've been with us over the last 5 years. This grade is going to be based on classwork, on homework, on your remote learning, on exams, on mock exams, on assessments in class, on your attitude to learning. All of these different things will comprise and make up the final grade that you get. Also, if you're doing BTECs or if you're doing any of the nationals, then you'll also be looking at coursework as well. So that will have a big factor in this. So we come back to school on the 8th of March. Key message, crack on. Around the 22nd of March, we're going to do some English and science, some maths and science exams, maths and science. And that's to look at tiering. Basically, that's to make sure that we've got you on the correct paper. So when we come to do some more assessments throughout the term, we know that we're giving you the most accurate ones. And again, it's another opportunity for you to show us what you've got. It's another marker to make sure that you know that you can hit that. And then from the 22nd of March through, then we've got another 2 weeks before Easter. We finished on the 1st of April. Then you've got 2 weeks, and then we've got 6 weeks basically until Spring Bank, which is June. You've got Ramadan and Eid in the middle of that, so you've got to really make sure you manage your time. And you can't just give up. Okay, last year we had Ramadan right before the end. The year before we did, and the kids were brilliant. The Year 11s were incredible during that period. Worked really hard to make sure that you've managed yourself. You've managed your well-being, your body, your fasting, your prayer times, your waking up, your study times. All of that has got to be around it because you've got to keep on going. So during this period, in all your subjects, you're going to have small tests. You're going to have probably some small mock exams, some past questions. You're going to go over your work. We are going to try and create a situation where you get to demonstrate the best of your ability, because that's what we're looking at. At the end of May, that's when faculties will start to look at potentially what grade do we think you get. So anything before then is a potential grade, is where we think you're currently at. Okay, that's when we'll start the discussion about, well, what grade are we going to enter? What will then happen is those faculties will pass that data to myself, Mrs. Jones, Miss Hawkins, and a few other people on SLT, Mrs. Gill, Miss Patel, and we will spend time with directors going through that. We'll have a moderation process and an internal quality assurance. That means that we'll make sure that those grades are fair, are accurate, and reflect the work that you've done, and also take into account the challenging circumstances that you may have experienced over the last year really, when we come back on the 8th of March. That then will then have some external quality assurance with other schools to make sure that we're in a similar place to them. And then the final meeting will be a few people finally going through all of those grades before they get entered. Then I have to sign a declaration basically. I have to tell the exam boards I am happy with the process that we've gone through, I trust the process we've gone through, and that you have studied enough of the course to get a grade. Okay, that's really important for the year 10s there, that you've studied enough of the course. So I have to say, yeah, I'm confident with that. But you've got to trust us, and this is where it comes down to now. This is all about trust. We've got to trust you to do the work. You've got to trust us. And if you keep on talking to your teacher saying, what's my grade, what's my grade, what's my grade, sir, what's this, putting pressure on us, that's going to make it worse. So you've got to give us some space, because this is a challenging period. We've never done this before. So last year it was centre assessed grades, but there was an algorithm and we were predicting what you were going to get. This year it's the work you have done. So we've got to tend to spend more time looking back at the work, looking back at homework, historic data, all of those other things, and taking them to a lot of account. So staff are going to be under a lot of pressure, and the one thing you can do which will make that worse is by hectoring them all the time and having a go. Okay, so you can still change that. Again, come back to that first message. You can still change this grade. You can still change what you are going to get. If at the end of this whole process, and I'll talk about this more as we come nearer over these next few weeks, if at the end of that you've got two options for appealing. The first appeal you can make is to the school, and that's to question our process, not the grade. That's to say, I think there's been an error here, there's been a mistake. And that might be, say you get 6 6s and suddenly a 3, you go, hang on, that makes sense. Well, how come I've only got 3 there, but I've got 6s everywhere else? And that might just be an administrative error. We've got thousands of grades we're going to have to look at. That might happen. I don't think it will, but it might. If you have then questioned that, and I say, and ultimately then I have to sign off, and I say, actually, this is fine, the process has been sound, there haven't been any errors, and you're not happy with your grade, you can then go to the exam board. And you can appeal to the exam board and say, right, I want the exam board to go back through all the evidence. Now, that obviously you've always got that option, but you've got to remember, if you appeal to the exam board, there are 3 things that happen. The grade can stay the same, it could go up, but equally it could go down. If the exam board think that we've been too generous, it could go down. So, they're your options. Over these next few weeks, we will be talking to you more and more about these options to give you more and more information. We are still yet to receive all of the information from the exam boards about what evidence they want from us, about what their processes for quality assurance are. But this video is just to explain where we're up to now, so you've got all of the information. So, 8th of March, 22nd of March, you come back to school. 22nd of March, that week, you have got some science and maths mocks to look at tier of entry. And then we'll be looking at all of the work during and trying to make the conditions for you to come to demonstrate the best of you. So it's still in your hands, guys. Remember, that's the key message for this. And parents who are watching this, please reinforce that. You've got to get them. We've got to get them back into those really good habits if they've got out of them during lockdown. Make sure they're back to school, they're doing their homework, they're really, really focusing. It's more important than ever that we get this done now. We want our kids to be able to leave us, and you guys to leave us on June the 18th, which is the final deadline when we have to submit the grades, that you get to leave us then knowing that you've done your best, knowing that you've got that voice to change the world, that you can go out and compete, knowing that you're going to get great post-16 provision, you're going to get to the places where you want to be, you're going to get on your apprenticeship, do your jobs, and you're going to be proud. And this period, this really challenging period, won't have had that impact because you've put the work in and you deserve it. You lot deserve it, this community deserves it, and that's what our job is, to make sure it's as fair and equitable as possible. So, good luck everyone. I can't wait to see you all on March the 8th. I've missed you all desperately, as all you teachers have. So we're really looking forward to seeing you, and together we can get through this. Alright guys, take care and I'll speak to you soon.